The fluorescent lights of the convenience store flickered overhead as I stood frozen in the back aisle, my entire body trembling so violently I could barely hold the phone in my hand. The screen was cracked, a spiderweb of broken glass that had happened 2 hours ago when he'd thrown it against the wall, but it still worked. Barely. My fingers hovered over the keypad, trying to decide who to call. The police. They'd never believed me before. Why would tonight be different? My sister? She was 3 states away with 2 kids and a husband who barely made rent. She couldn't help me. Not with this. Not with him. I glanced at the clock on the wall. 3:47 in the morning. The store was empty, except for the bored clerk at the front counter who hadn't even looked up when I stumbled in 20 minutes ago. My clothes torn, my lip bleeding, my eyes wild with terror. The bell above the door chimed, and my heart stopped. He'd found me. I dropped the phone, pressing myself against the wall of the refrigerated section, the cold seeping through my thin jacket. My breath came in short, panicked gasps as I tried to make myself invisible, smaller, anything to avoid being seen. But the footsteps that echoed through the store weren't his. These were different, confident, measured, expensive shoes on linoleum. I peered around the corner of the aisle and saw him, tall, easily over 6 feet, with dark hair styled perfectly despite the ungodly hour. He wore a charcoal suit that looked like it cost more than my entire year's salary, and even from this distance, I could see the sharp lines of his face, the strong jaw, the way he carried himself, like he owned not just this store, but the entire city. Behind him stood 2 men, clearly bodyguards, scanning the store with practiced efficiency. Their eyes passed over the clerk, who suddenly straightened up, recognition and fear flashing across his face. "Mr. Volkov," the clerk stammered. "I didn't expect, is there something I can help you with?" Volkov. The name sent ice through my veins. I knew that name. Everyone in Boston knew that name. Nikolai Volkov, the Russian who controlled the North Side. The man they said could end your life with a phone call. The kind of dangerous that made even other criminals nervous. "Just cigarettes," Volkov replied, his voice carrying a slight accent, smooth and dark like expensive vodka. Marlboro. Red. As the clerk fumbled for the cigarettes, Volkov's eyes swept the store, and then they landed on me, even half hidden behind the chip rack, even in the harsh fluorescent lighting. I felt the weight of his gaze like a physical thing. He saw everything. The torn sleeve of my jacket, the blood on my lip, the way I was shaking, the terror in my eyes. His expression didn't change, but something shifted in his posture. He took the cigarettes from the clerk, paid without counting the change, and then walked directly toward me. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my legs wouldn't move. I was frozen, trapped between the refrigerators and this dangerous man who was now standing less than 3 feet away, studying me like I was a puzzle he was determined to solve. "You are hurt," he observed, his English perfect but flavored with that accent that made every word sound somehow more significant. I shook my head, not trusting my voice. "Yes, you are." He gestured to one of his bodyguards. "Victor, get the first aid kit from the car. I don't need help," I managed to whisper, my voice cracking. "I'm fine." His dark eyes, almost black in this lighting, held mine. "No, you are not fine. You are terrified and injured and shaking like a leaf in a storm." He paused. "Who did this to you?" The direct question caught me off guard. Most people, when they saw someone like me, someone clearly in trouble, they looked away, pretended not to notice, minded their own business. But this man, this dangerous criminal who should have been the last person to care, was actually asking. "Nobody," I lied automatically. I fell. It's nothing. You fell." His tone made it clear he didn't believe me. "And this fall, it tore your jacket, split your lip, left bruises on your wrist?" I instinctively pulled my sleeve down to cover the finger-shaped marks on my skin, but it was too late. He'd already seen them. "Where is he?" Volkov asked quietly. "The man who did this." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." He moved slightly closer, and I pressed myself harder against the cold glass of the refrigerator. "I have 3 sisters. I know what it looks like when a man puts his hands on a woman who did not want them there." The unexpected admission shocked me into meeting his eyes again. There was no pity there, no judgment, just a cold, calculating anger that somehow wasn't directed at me, but at whoever had hurt me. Victor returned with a first aid kit, and Volkov took it, dismissing both bodyguards with a subtle gesture. They moved back toward the front of the store, giving us privacy while still maintaining a watchful presence. "May I?" Volkov asked, opening the kit and pulling out antiseptic wipes. I wanted to say no, wanted to run, but something about the way he asked, The way he waited for permission, instead of just taking what he wanted, made me nod. He was surprisingly gentle as he cleaned the blood from my lip, his touch careful and precise. Up close, I could see he was younger than I'd first thought, maybe early 30s, with sharp cheekbones and a mouth that looked like it rarely smiled. There was a small scar above his left eyebrow, barely visible but there if you knew to look for it. "What is your name?" he asked as he worked. I hesitated. Giving him my name felt dangerous, like opening a door I wouldn't be able to close. But those dark eyes were patient, waiting. "Claire," I whispered. "Claire Morgan. Claire." He said my name carefully, like he was tasting it. "I am Nikolai. I know who you are." A slight smile touched his lips. "Do you? And what do you know? That you're dangerous. That people are afraid of you. That you run half the criminal operations in Boston." I was speaking without thinking, exhaustion and fear making me reckless. "All true," he agreed, seemingly unbothered by my assessment. "Does this frighten you?" "Everything frightens me right now." He nodded slowly, applying a butterfly bandage to the cut on my lip. "The man who did this, he is looking for you." My breath caught. "How did you know?" "Because you keep watching the door. Because you jumped when the bell rang. Because you are in a convenience store at 3:47 in the morning, clearly having run here from somewhere else." He closed the first aid kit. "So yes, I would say someone is looking for you." Tears burned behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I'd cried enough tonight. Cried while he'd screamed at me. Cried while he'd grabbed me, thrown me against the wall. Cried while I'd waited for him to pass out drunk so I could finally escape. "His name," Volkov said softly. "Tell me his name." "Why?" I challenged, finding a spark of defiance. "So you can use it against me? So you can have leverage? I'm not stupid. I know how men like you operate." Something flickered in his expression. "Respect, maybe? Men like me. You mean criminals?" "I mean men who take what they want and don't care who gets hurt in the process." "Ah," he leaned back slightly. "You are right to be cautious. But Claire, let me explain something to you. I am indeed a criminal. I do many things that would make a good person like you uncomfortable. But what I do not do, what I have never done, is allow a man to beat a woman and walk away unpunished." The certainty in his voice sent a shiver through me that had nothing to do with the cold. "There are rules," he continued. "Even in my world, especially in my world, there are rules. And hurting women, hurting children, these things break the most sacred rule." His jaw tightened. "So yes, I want his name, not to use against you, but to ensure he never puts his hands on you, or anyone else, ever again." I should have been horrified, should have run from this man who was so casually discussing violence, but instead, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. "Marcus Chen," I whispered. "His name is Marcus Chen. He's my boyfriend. Was my boyfriend," I corrected quickly. "I tried to leave him tonight. He didn't take it well." Volkov pulled out his phone, typed something quickly, then pocketed it again. "This Marcus Chen, where does he live?" "I can't tell you that. If you go after him, he'll know it was me. He'll come back worse. He always comes back worse." He will not come back at all." The finality in Volkov's voice was absolute. "But that is a conversation for later. Right now, you need somewhere safe to stay. Somewhere he cannot find you." "I don't have anywhere. My apartment is his. My friends. They're all his friends. My family." I laughed bitterly. "They think Marcus is wonderful, successful, charming. They'd never believe what he really is." Volkov studied me for a long moment. "Then you will come with me." "What?" "No, I can't. I don't even know you. You know I am dangerous. You know people fear me. You know I run criminal operations." He stood, offering me his hand. "And now you know I do not hurt women, that I protect them. So the question is, Claire Morgan, do you trust yourself to survive the night alone, or do you trust me to keep you safe?" It was an impossible choice. Trust myself when I was exhausted, terrified, and had nowhere to go, or trust this stranger, this criminal, who had shown me more genuine concern in 10 minutes than Marcus had shown me in 2 years. I looked at his outstretched hand, strong, steady, waiting. And at 3:47 in the morning, with nowhere else to turn and no one else to help me, I made a decision that would change my life forever. I took his hand. His fingers closed around mine, warm and firm, and he pulled me gently to my feet. "Come, my car is outside." "Wait," I pulled back slightly. "I need to know. Why are you doing this? You don't know me. Why do you care?" Volkov turned, his dark eyes meeting mine with an intensity that made my breath catch. "Because when I was 8 years old, I watched my father beat my mother. I was too small to stop him, too weak to protect her." His voice was quiet but laced with old pain. She died when I was 12, not from the beatings, though they contributed, from the despair, from the hopelessness of being trapped with a monster. He squeezed my hand gently. I swore then that when I was strong enough, when I had power enough, no woman would suffer that fate if I could prevent it. So yes, Claire, I care. And yes, I will help you, whether you understand why or not. I had no words. This man, this criminal who should have been heartless, had just shown me more humanity than anyone I'd known in years. Okay, I whispered. Okay, I'll come with you. The smile he gave me was small but genuine, transforming his face from intimidating to almost handsome. Good. Let us go before your Marcus decides to expand his search to convenience stores. He kept my hand in his as we walked to the front of the store, his bodyguards falling into step behind us. The clerk watched us go with wide eyes, and I wondered what story he'd tell about this strange encounter. Outside, a black Mercedes SUV waited at the curb, looking completely out of place in this run-down neighborhood. Victor opened the back door, and Volkov helped me inside before sliding in next to me. The interior was warm, luxurious, and the moment the door closed, sealing us in, I felt some of the tension drain from my body. We were moving, leaving that store and that neighborhood, and Marcus's reach behind. Where are we going? I asked, as the SUV pulled away from the curb. My home. It is secure, and he will not find you there. Volkov was typing on his phone again, his fingers moving quickly. I am having my people look into Marcus Chen. By morning, I will know everything about him. His routines, his weaknesses, his fears. You're really going to go after him? It wasn't a question. Yes. Will you kill him? He looked up from his phone, studying me carefully. Would it bother you if I did? I thought about Marcus's hands around my throat last week, about the bruises he'd left, the threats he'd made, about the 2 years of walking on eggshells, never knowing what would set him off, constantly trying to be smaller, quieter, less troublesome. No, I admitted quietly. It wouldn't bother me at all. Something shifted in Volkov's expression. Not quite approval, but acknowledgement. Good, then we understand each other. We drove in silence for a while, and I watched the city pass by through tinted windows. We were heading toward the waterfront, toward the expensive neighborhoods where people like me never went. You said you have 3 sisters, I said suddenly, breaking the silence. Are they here? In Boston? 2 are in Russia still. The youngest, Katya. She lives here with me. She is at university, studying medicine. You must be proud. A genuine warmth entered his voice. Very proud. She is brilliant and kind. Nothing like her older brother. I don't know, I said softly. You've been pretty kind tonight. He turned to look at me, surprise evident in his features. No one has ever called me kind before. Maybe they should. Before he could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, and his expression hardened. We have a problem. My heart seized. What? Marcus Chen. He has reported you missing to the police. Claims you are mentally unstable, possibly a danger to yourself. He has convinced them to issue a search. Fear flooded back, icy and paralyzing. He does this. Whenever I try to leave, he gets everyone on his side. Makes me look crazy. Last time, he had my own mother convinced I needed psychiatric help. He is smart, manipulative. Volkov's jaw tightened. This complicates things, but it does not change them. You are still coming with me. You are still under my protection. If the police find me at your house, it will be worse. They'll think you kidnapped me. It will cause problems for you. Let me worry about problems with police. He reached over and squeezed my hand. You just focus on staying alive and safe. Leave the rest to me. The SUV turned down a private drive, passing through security gates that opened automatically. The house at the end of the drive wasn't what I expected. Not some ostentatious mansion trying to prove something, but a modern, elegant home of glass and stone that seemed to blend with the waterfront landscape. It's beautiful, I breathed. It is home. He helped me out of the car, his hand steady on my elbow. Come. You need rest, food, and proper medical attention for those bruises. Inside, the house was warm and tastefully decorated. A woman appeared from a side hallway, older, with kind eyes and salt and pepper hair. Nikolai, she said, then stopped when she saw me. Her expression shifted immediately to concern. Oh, dear child, what happened? This is Anna, Volkov explained. She manages my household and has been with my family since I was a boy. Anna, this is Claire. She will be staying with us for a while. She needs a room, clean clothes, and some care. Anna's eyes took in my torn jacket, my split lip, my trembling hands. She nodded once, understanding everything that went unsaid. Of course. Come with me, dear. Let's get you sorted out. I glanced back at Volkov, suddenly reluctant to leave his side. He'd been the first person in so long to make me feel safe, and the thought of being separated from that safety, even temporarily, made panic flutter in my chest. "I will be in my study," he assured me, making calls, ensuring your Marcus understands the consequences of his actions. His dark eyes held mine. "You are safe here, Claire. I promise you that." I nodded and followed Anna up a sweeping staircase. She led me to a guest room that was bigger than my entire apartment had been, with a king-sized bed, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the water, and an ensuite bathroom that looked like something from a luxury hotel. "The bathroom has everything you need," Anna said gently. "Towels, toiletries, a robe. I will bring you some clothes. They will be Katya's, Nikolai's sister. But you are similar size. She will not mind." "Thank you," I whispered, overwhelmed by the kindness. Anna touched my shoulder gently. "You are safe here. Mr. Nikolai, he may seem intimidating, but he has a good heart. He will take care of you." After she left, I stood in the middle of the room, trying to process everything that had happened in the last hour. At 3:47 this morning, I'd been hiding in a convenience store, terrified and alone. Now I was standing in the home of one of Boston's most dangerous criminals, being treated like an honored guest. I moved to the bathroom and finally looked at myself in the mirror. The reflection shocked me. My face was pale, my eyes wild and red-rimmed from crying. The butterfly bandage Volkov had applied stood out starkly against my split lip. Bruises were already forming on my jaw where Marcus had grabbed me. I looked like a victim, and I hated it. The shower was hot and powerful, and I stayed under the spray until my skin was pink and the water ran clear. Anna had left clothes on the bed while I was in the bathroom. Simple but expensive. Soft leggings, an oversized sweater, thick socks. Everything fit perfectly. There was a knock at the door, and Anna returned with a tray. "I thought you might be hungry. Nothing heavy, just soup and bread." The smell made my stomach growl, and I realized I hadn't eaten since yesterday afternoon. "Thank you. You're very kind. It is easy to be kind to someone who deserves it." She set the tray on a small table by the window. "Mr. Nikolai asked me to tell you he will come check on you soon. He is still making calls." After she left, I ate slowly, watching the sun begin to rise over the water. The soup was homemade and delicious, warming me from the inside out. As the shock began to wear off, exhaustion hit me like a wave. I moved to the bed, intending to just lie down for a moment, but the mattress was soft, the sheets were clean, and for the first time in months, I felt safe enough to truly relax. I was asleep within minutes. When I woke, sunlight was streaming through the windows, and someone was sitting in the chair near the bed. For a heart-stopping moment, I thought it was Marcus, and panic surged through me. "Easy," Volkov's deep voice cut through the fear. "It is just me. You are safe." I sat up, pressing a hand to my racing heart. "Sorry. I thought I understand." He was still wearing the same suit from last night, though his jacket was off and his sleeves were rolled up. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept. "How are you feeling?" "Better. Confused. Still scared." I pulled the blanket around me. "What time is it?" "Nearly noon. You slept for about 7 hours. You stayed up all night?" "I had work to do." He stood, moving to look out the window. I found Marcus Chen. My breath caught. And he is currently in a hospital, being treated for injuries he sustained when he, how did the police report phrase it, fell down the stairs at his apartment building. I stared at him. "You didn't." "I did not personally push him down any stairs," Volkov said carefully. "But I may have sent some associates to have a conversation with him about appropriate behavior toward women. And during that conversation, he may have become agitated and accidentally injured himself." "How badly?" "Broken arm, cracked ribs, concussion. He will recover, unfortunately." Volkov turned to face me, but he will not recover his courage. "By the time my men were finished explaining the consequences of ever touching you again, he was crying like a child. I should have felt guilty, should have been horrified. But all I felt was a savage satisfaction. Good. Volkov's lips quirked in what might have been approval. "There is more. I had my people look into his finances, his business dealings. Marcus Chen is not the successful businessman he pretends to be. He is in debt, serious debt, to some very unpleasant people. People who would be very interested to know he has been skimming from their operations. You're going to tell them." "I already did." He moved back toward the chair, sitting down with fluid grace. "By tomorrow, Marcus Chen will have much bigger problems than a lost girlfriend. He will be too busy trying to save his own skin to worry about you." I processed this. Volkov hadn't just protected me. He'd systematically dismantled Marcus's entire life in less than 12 hours. "Why?" I asked. "Why go this far?" He was quiet for a moment, studying me with those dark, intelligent eyes. Because men like him, they do not stop with one beating. They escalate. Next time, it might have been worse. Next time, you might not have had the chance to run. Next time, he might have killed me. Yes, the word was simple, honest, and I could not allow that. We sat in silence for a while, and I tried to understand this man, this criminal who protected women, this dangerous person who had shown me more care than my own boyfriend ever had. What happens now? I finally asked. I can't stay here forever. I have a job, a life, or at least I did. Where did you work? A bookstore, downtown. They probably already fired me for not showing up. Volkov pulled out his phone, typed something. What is the name of this bookstore? The Reading Room. But why? Consider it handled. You still have a job when you are ready to return. He pocketed his phone. As for staying here, you may stay as long as you need, until you feel safe, until you have made plans. There is no rush. I can't pay you. I do not want your money, Claire. Then what do you want? He met my eyes, and there was something in his gaze I couldn't quite read. I want you to heal, to recover, to remember that you are worth more than how Marcus Chen treated you. The unexpected tenderness in his words made tears spring to my eyes. I don't understand you. You're supposed to be dangerous, heartless. Everyone says so. I am dangerous. I am heartless to my enemies. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. But you are not my enemy, Claire. You are someone who needed help, and I was in a position to give it. It is that simple. Nothing about you is simple. A real smile crossed his face, warm and transforming. Perhaps you are right about that. Before I could respond, there was a knock at the door. Anna entered, followed by a young woman who could only be Katya. She had Volkov's dark hair and similar features, but where he was intimidating, she was beautiful in an approachable way, with warm eyes and an easy smile. Nick, you didn't tell me we had a guest, she said in lightly accented English, moving past her brother to approach the bed. I'm Katya, and you must be the woman who has my brother so distracted he forgot about our lunch. Lunch? Volkov stood abruptly. I apologize. I lost track of time. You always lose track of time when you're in protector mode, Katya teased, then turned her attention back to me. I hope he hasn't been too overbearing. He means well, but subtlety is not his strong suit. I found myself smiling despite everything. He's been wonderful, actually. Katya's eyebrows rose, and she glanced at her brother with obvious surprise. Wonderful. Did you hear that, Nick? Someone called you wonderful. I heard. He replied dryly, but there was warmth in his eyes as he looked at his sister. If you're enjoying this story so far, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next between Claire and Nikolai. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Over the next week, I slowly adjusted to life in Volkov's home. It was strange, surreal even, to be living with a man I barely knew, surrounded by his world. But it was also the safest I'd felt in years. Anna treated me like family, making sure I ate, that I had everything I needed. Katya became an unexpected friend, dragging me out of my room to watch movies or study together while she prepared for her medical exams. She talked about normal things, university and friends and her dreams of becoming a surgeon, and for a few hours at a time, I could almost forget the circumstances that had brought me here. And then there was Nikolai. He was often gone during the day, handling whatever business he handled. I tried not to think too hard about what that business might be, but in the evenings, he would appear, checking on me, asking about my day. We fell into a routine of having dinner together, just the two of us, and talking. I learned more about him during those dinners, about his childhood in Russia, about how his father's death had forced him into a life he hadn't chosen, but had learned to master, about his mother, whose memory still brought pain to his eyes, about his determination to protect his sisters from ever knowing the poverty and violence of his early years, and slowly, carefully, I told him about my own life, about my parents who died when I was 19, leaving me alone and vulnerable, about how I'd met Marcus when I was 22, how he'd seemed charming and successful at first, how gradually, so gradually I didn't notice until it was too late, he'd isolated me from friends, from family, from anyone who might have helped me see what he really was. It is not your fault, Nikolai said one evening as we sat on his terrace overlooking the water. What he did, how he manipulated you, none of that is your fault. I should have seen it sooner. That is what men like him count on your self-blame, on your belief that somehow you caused his violence. He turned to look at me, his dark eyes serious. But Claire, you did not cause it. Nothing you did or said or wore or thought gave him the right to put his hands on you. Nothing. I felt tears slide down my cheeks. And this time I didn't try to stop them. I just feel so stupid. How did I let myself become that person? The one who flinches at raised voices, who apologizes for existing. You survived. His hand found mine, warm and solid. That is not stupid. That is strength. You survived. And when you had the chance, you ran. You saved yourself. You saved me. No, he squeezed my hand. I simply provided a safe place to land. You saved yourself when you walked out his door at 3:47 in the morning with nowhere to go and no one to turn to. That took courage, Claire. Real courage. We sat in comfortable silence, his hand still holding mine, and I realized something that should have terrified me but somehow didn't. I was falling for Nikolai Volkov. This dangerous, complicated, surprisingly gentle man was becoming more than just my protector. He was becoming my friend, my confidant, and maybe, possibly something more. Claire, he said softly, his thumb brushing across my knuckles. I need to tell you something. My heart raced. What? Marcus Chen. He has been making threats again. Apparently, his other problems have not kept him as occupied as I hoped. Fear spiked through me. What kind of threats? Nothing specific. Just general statements about finding you. About making you pay for what happened to him. Nikolai's jaw tightened. My people are monitoring him closely. He will not get near you. But I thought you should know. He won't stop. That's what I tried to tell you. He never stops. Then I will have to make him stop permanently. The cold promise in Nikolai's voice sent a shiver through me. You mean kill him? He didn't deny it. If necessary, yes. I will not let him hurt you again, Claire. Whatever it takes. I should have been horrified. Should have argued against violence. But the truth was, I trusted Nikolai's judgment more than I trusted my own these days. If he said Marcus needed to be stopped, then Marcus needed to be stopped. Okay, I whispered. He looked surprised. Okay? I trust you. Whatever you think needs to be done, I trust you to do it right. Something shifted in his expression, softening and intensifying all at once. You should not trust me so easily. Why not? You've given me no reason not to trust you. I am a criminal, Claire. I have blood on my hands. I have done terrible things. To terrible people, I countered. You've never been anything but kind to me, but protective and honest and good. Good, he repeated like the word was foreign. No one has called me good before. Maybe they don't know you like I do. He was close now. Close enough that I could see the flecks of amber in his dark eyes. Close enough to feel his breath on my face. And how well do you know me, Claire? Well enough to know that when you found me shaking in that convenience store at 3:47 in the morning, you could have walked away. But you didn't. You helped me when you had no reason to. You've protected me when you had nothing to gain. I reached up, touching his face gently. That tells me everything I need to know about who you really are. Claire, he breathed. And then his lips were on mine. The kiss was gentle at first, questioning, giving me every opportunity to pull away. But I didn't want to pull away. I wanted this, wanted him. I pressed closer, my hands sliding up to tangle in his hair, and the kiss deepened, became hungry, desperate. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. This is dangerous. I know. I am dangerous. I know that too. And you still want this? I pulled back enough to meet his eyes. I want you. All of you. The dangerous parts and the gentle parts and everything in between. He kissed me again, slower this time, sweeter, and I felt something in my chest crack open. Something that had been locked away since Marcus, since the fear and the pain and the constant vigilance. Hope. Over the following days, our relationship shifted, became something more. Nikolai was careful with me, always making sure I was comfortable, that I wanted what was happening between us. He never pushed, never demanded, just offered and waited for me to accept or decline. It was so different from Marcus. With Marcus, everything had been about his needs, his desires, his control. With Nikolai, everything was about partnership, about mutual respect, about genuine care. Tell me about your dreams, he said one night, as we lay together on his couch, my head on his chest, his fingers running through my hair. Before Marcus, what did you want from life? I thought about it. I wanted to travel, to see the world. I'd always dreamed of visiting Europe, Asia, seeing places I'd only read about in books. Then we will go. I lifted my head to look at him. What? We will travel. Anywhere you want. Paris, Tokyo, Istanbul. Name it, and we will go. Nikolai, I can't just, I don't have money for that. I have money. He tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. More than I could spend in 3 lifetimes. Let me do this for you. Let me give you the dreams Marcus stole. Tears pricked my eyes. Why are you so good to me? His hand cupped my cheek, his thumb brushing away the tear that had escaped. Because you deserve good things, Claire. You deserve to be cherished and protected and given the world. His voice dropped lower. And because I am falling in love with you, my breath caught. You are? Yes. I know it is fast. I know it is complicated. But yes, I am falling in love with you. Perhaps I started falling that first night, when you were so afraid, but still so strong, when you took my hand despite every reason not to. I love you too, I whispered, the words feeling both terrifying and right. I think I have for a while now. He pulled me closer, kissing me with a passion that made my whole body warm. Say it again. I love you. Again. I love you, Nikolai Volkov. He smiled against my lips, and it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Ya тебя люблю, Claire Morgan. I love you. We made love that night, slow and careful and perfect. Nikolai treated me like I was precious, like I was something to be worshipped rather than used. And afterwards, as I lay in his arms, safe and loved and happier than I'd been in years, I realized something. Marcus hadn't destroyed me. He'd tried, but he'd failed. And instead of breaking me, he'd inadvertently led me to the one person who could help me heal. The irony was almost beautiful. The next morning I woke to find Nikolai already awake, watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. What is it? I asked, immediately worried. What's wrong? Nothing is wrong. He brushed a kiss across my forehead. I was just thinking how beautiful you are when you sleep. How peaceful. I relaxed against him. You're biased. Very biased, he agreed, pulling me closer, but also correct. We lay there for a while, just enjoying the quiet morning, until his phone buzzed on the nightstand. He glanced at it and his expression darkened. What? I asked, tension returning. Marcus has been released from the hospital, and according to my people, he has been making inquiries about my home address. Fear clutched at my chest. He's coming here. He will not get past the gate. Nikolai's voice was calm, confident. But I think it is time to end this permanently. I am done playing games with him. What are you going to do? He sat up, reaching for his phone. I am going to give him exactly what he wants. A meeting with you. What? No. Nikolai. No. He turned to me, taking my hands in his. Trust me. I will not let him hurt you. But he needs to see, needs to understand that you are under my protection, that touching you means going through me. It's too dangerous. It is necessary. His eyes held mine. Claire, as long as he thinks there is a chance of getting you back, of punishing you, he will keep trying. He will never stop. But if he sees you with me, understands what that means, he will realize he has lost. And men like Marcus, they only understand power. They only respect strength. I hated it, but I knew he was right. Marcus wouldn't stop unless forced to stop. Okay, but you have to promise me you'll be careful. He's unpredictable when he's angry. I promise. He kissed me softly. Now, let us get ready. We have a message to send. The meeting was arranged for that afternoon at a neutral location, a restaurant Nikolai owned in the downtown area. I dressed carefully, choosing clothes that were mine, not borrowed, that made me feel strong. Nikolai had had someone retrieve my belongings from Marcus's apartment, along with my car and everything else that belonged to me. You look perfect, Nikolai said as I joined him in the foyer. He was in a suit, looking every inch the dangerous crime boss, with Victor and 2 other bodyguards flanking him. I'm terrified, I admitted. I know. He took my hand, squeezing gently. But I will be right beside you, and he will not dare try anything with my men present. The drive to the restaurant was tense. I kept my hand in Nikolai's, drawing strength from his calm presence. When we arrived, Marcus was already there, sitting alone at a table near the back. He looked terrible. His arm was in a cast, his face was bruised, and he'd lost weight, making him look gaunt and desperate. When he saw me walk in with Nikolai, his expression twisted with rage. You, he spat, trying to stand but wincing in pain. You did this to me. No, Nikolai said calmly, guiding me to a seat across from Marcus while his bodyguards positioned themselves strategically around the room. You did this to yourself when you put your hands on her. Marcus's eyes flickered between us, and I saw the moment he understood. The moment he realized I wasn't just hiding from him. I was with Nikolai, protected by him, loved by him. You're with him? Marcus's voice was thick with disbelief. You're fucking with him? This criminal? Watch your mouth. Nikolai's voice was soft but deadly. You will speak to her with respect, or you will not speak at all. Respect? Marcus laughed bitterly. I gave her everything. A home, a life, and this is how she repays me, by whoring herself to the Russian mob? Before I could respond, before I could feel hurt by his words, Nikolai moved. One moment he was sitting calmly beside me. The next his hand was around Marcus's throat. slamming him back into his chair. "I warned you," Nikolai said, his voice cold as ice. "One more disrespectful word about her, and I will break more than your arm." Marcus's eyes were wide with fear, his good hand clawing uselessly at Nikolai's iron grip. I can't breathe." "Good. Then listen carefully." Nikolai leaned closer, his voice dropping to a lethal whisper that still carried clearly. "Claire Morgan is under my protection now. She is mine, and what is mine, I keep. If you ever come near her again, if you ever threaten her, if you even think her name, I will know, and when I know, I will respond. Do you understand?" Marcus tried to nod, his face turning red. "I did not hear you." "Yes," Marcus choked out. "Yes, I understand." Nikolai released him, stepping back to stand beside my chair, his hand resting possessively on my shoulder. "You have caused Claire enough pain, enough fear. That ends today. You will leave Boston. You will find a new city, a new life, and you will never contact her again. In return, I will not kill you. You can't just... I have a life here, a business. Not anymore." Nikolai pulled out his phone, scrolling through something. "Your business partners have been informed of your creative accounting practices. Your landlord has been notified of the damages to your apartment. Your employer has received quite detailed information about your extracurricular activities. In short, Marcus Chen, you have nothing here anymore." The color drained from Marcus's face. "You destroyed everything." "No. You destroyed everything when you decided to beat the woman you claimed to love." Nikolai's voice was implacable. "I simply ensured you would face consequences. Now, you have a choice. Leave Boston by this time tomorrow, or stay and see what else I can destroy. Choose." Marcus looked at me, and for a moment, I saw the man I'd once thought I loved. Broken, desperate, almost pitiable. But then I remembered his hands around my throat, his fists against my body, his words designed to make me feel small and worthless, and I felt nothing but relief that this was ending. "I'll go," Marcus said quietly. "I'll leave." "Good." Nikolai gestured to Victor, who stepped forward. "Victor will accompany you to your apartment to pack. You have 2 hours. Then he will escort you to the airport. Where you go from there is your choice, but it will not be anywhere near Claire. Am I clear?" "Yes." As Victor and another guard flanked Marcus, preparing to leave, I found my voice. "Marcus, wait." He turned, hope flickering in his eyes. Hope that I might forgive him, might take him back, might give him another chance. "I need you to know something," I said, standing up, moving to stand beside Nikolai. "What you did to me, how you treated me, it wasn't love, it was abuse, and I will never, ever let someone treat me that way again. Claire, I'm sorry. I can change. I can be better." "No," I said firmly. "You can't, and even if you could, it's too late, because I don't love you anymore. I don't even hate you. I feel nothing for you at all." The truth of those words settled over me like a benediction. I really did feel nothing. The fear was gone. The anger was gone. All that remained was pity for a small broken man who'd tried to break me and failed. Marcus's face crumpled, but I felt no satisfaction in his pain, just a distant sadness for what might have been if he'd been a different person. "Goodbye, Marcus," I said, and turned away, back to Nikolai, back to the man who'd shown me what real love looked like. After they left, Nikolai pulled me into his arms, holding me tight. "You did well. I am proud of you. I just told the truth. Sometimes that is the hardest thing of all." He pulled back to look at me. "How do you feel?" I thought about it, really thought about it. "Free," I said finally. "For the first time in years, I feel free." He smiled, and it was beautiful. "Good. Then let us go home." Over the next few weeks, I slowly rebuilt my life. I returned to work at the bookstore, where my co-workers welcomed me back without questions. Nikolai had indeed handled everything, making sure my job was secure. I started seeing a therapist, working through the trauma of what Marcus had done, learning to recognize the patterns of abuse, so I would never fall into that trap again. Nikolai came with me sometimes, wanting to understand how to best support me, and slowly, carefully, I moved my belongings into Nikolai's home, not because I had to, but because I wanted to, because that beautiful house on the waterfront had become my home, and the dangerous man who lived there had become my everything. "There is something I need to tell you," Nikolai said one evening as we sat on the terrace, watching the sunset paint the water in shades of gold and pink. "What is it?" He took my hand, his thumb brushing across my knuckles in that way he had. "I am leaving the business. My criminal enterprises. I am getting out." I stared at him. "What? Why?" "Because of you." He turned to face me fully. "Because I want a life with you, Claire. A real life, not one where I am constantly looking over my shoulder, where the woman I love is in danger because of my associations. I have been working on it for weeks, transferring operations, paying off debts, cutting ties. By the end of the month, I will be just a man, no longer a boss, no longer a criminal. Nikolai, you can't do that just for me. That's your whole life. No. He cupped my face in his hands. You are my life now. Everything else is just business, and business can be replaced. But you, Claire, you cannot be replaced. You are irreplaceable. Tears streamed down my face. I love you so much. I love you too, more than I thought I could love anyone. He kissed me softly. Marry me. My heart stopped. What? Marry me, he repeated, pulling a small box from his pocket. Inside was a ring, a simple but stunning diamond that caught the light. Be my wife. Let me spend the rest of my life proving that you made the right choice when you took my hand at 3:47 in the morning. Yes, I breathed, not even needing to think about it. Yes, I'll marry you. He slid the ring onto my finger, then kissed me with a passion that made the world disappear. When we finally broke apart, both smiling like idiots, he rested his forehead against mine. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For trusting me. For seeing past the dangerous exterior to the man underneath. For loving me when you had every reason not to. His arms tightened around me. For saving me just as much as I saved you. We sat together as the sun set, wrapped in each other's arms, and I marveled at how one terrible night had led to this perfect moment. How running from one man had led me straight into the arms of another. How being found shaking in a convenience store at 3:47 in the morning had become the best thing that ever happened to me. 6 months later, we were married in a small ceremony on the terrace of our home, with Katya as my maid of honor, and Anna crying happy tears. I wore a simple white dress, and Nikolai wore a suit, and when he looked at me walking toward him, his eyes were wet with tears. You are the most beautiful thing I have ever seen, he whispered as I took his hand. You say that every day, because it is true every day. The ceremony was short but meaningful, and when the officiant pronounced us husband and wife, Nikolai kissed me like I was his heir, his lifeline, his everything. That night, as we lay in bed, my head on his chest and his fingers tracing patterns on my skin, I thought about everything that had led us here. Nikolai, I said softly. Do you remember that first night, in the convenience store? I remember everything about that night. His arm tightened around me. Why? I was so scared, so broken. I honestly thought my life was over, that I would never be happy, or safe, or loved again. And now, I lifted my head to look at him. Now I am all of those things. Because of you. He pulled me up for a kiss, slow and sweet. You would have found your way eventually. You were strong enough, maybe. But I'm glad I didn't have to do it alone. I'm glad you were there at 3:47 in the morning. I'm glad you saw me shaking and decided to help instead of walking away. I could never have walked away from you. His hand cupped my cheek. From the moment I saw you, something in me knew you were important, knew you were mine to protect. Yours, I agreed, smiling. I'm yours, and I am yours, always. We made love slowly, sweetly, a reaffirmation of all the promises we'd made earlier that day. And afterwards, as I drifted off to sleep in my husband's arms, safe and loved and home, I thought about what I'd whispered to him that very first night, what had broken something in him and started this whole journey. He'd asked me what Marcus had done, what had happened, and through my tears and terror, I'd looked into this stranger's eyes and whispered the truth that had shattered both our hearts. He said no one would ever love me, that I was too broken, too damaged, too worthless for anyone to ever want me, and I believed him. Those words had broken Nikolai because he'd heard them himself once, from his own father. He'd understood the devastation of believing you were unlovable. And in that moment, in that convenience store at 3:47 in the morning, he'd made it his mission to prove Marcus wrong, to show me I was worthy of love, and he had. Every single day he showed me. As I slipped into sleep, I felt Nikolai press a kiss to my forehead, heard him whisper in Russian, words I'd learned meant, my love, my heart, my everything. And I smiled, knowing that the woman who'd been shaking in that store, convinced she was unlovable, had been wrong, so beautifully wrong, because here, in Nikolai Volkov's arms, I had found something I never thought I'd have, true love, real love, the kind of love that heals instead of harms, that builds instead of breaks, that stays instead of leaves. And it had all started at 3:47 in the morning, when a dangerous man found a shaking woman and decided she was worth saving, when my whispered words had broken his heart and remade it into something capable of loving me. Sometimes, The worst moments of our lives lead us to the best things. Sometimes being broken is just the first step toward being whole. And sometimes, the man you should fear the most turns out to be the one who saves you. We'd proven that, together, and we would keep proving it for the rest of our lives. Thank you so much for joining me on Claire and Nikolai's journey. If you loved this story of finding love in the darkest moment, please subscribe to the channel for more emotional and powerful stories like this one. Your support means everything, and I have so many more incredible stories to share with you. 2 years later, I stood in the nursery of our home, rocking our daughter Elena to sleep. She had my eyes and Nikolai's dark hair, and she was the most perfect thing I'd ever seen. She is beautiful, like her mother. Nikolai's voice came from the doorway. I smiled, not taking my eyes off our sleeping baby. She has your stubbornness. Impossible. I am very reasonable. I snorted quietly, making him laugh. He moved into the room, wrapping his arms around both of us, and we stood there, a family, whole and happy. Do you ever think about that night? I asked softly. The night we met? Every day. He kissed the top of my head. I think about how close I came to never knowing you. If I had been 5 minutes later, if I had gone to a different store, if you had hidden better. He tightened his arms around us. The thought terrifies me, but you weren't late, and I wasn't hidden, and we found each other. Yes, we did. He rested his chin on my shoulder, looking down at our daughter. Thank you, Claire. For what? For trusting me that night, for taking my hand, for believing me when I said you were safe. His voice was rough with emotion. For loving me even when you learned who I really was. For giving me this life, this family, this perfect happiness I never thought I deserved. I turned in his arms, careful not to wake Elena. You deserve all of it. You deserve every good thing, Nikolai. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure you know that. He kissed me, deep and tender. A kiss that held all the love and gratitude and joy that words couldn't capture. When we broke apart, he took Elena from my arms, cradling her with practiced ease. She will never know fear, he said quietly, looking down at our daughter. She will never doubt she is loved. She will never have to run into the night with nowhere to go and no one to turn to. No, she won't, because she has you as a father, and you will always protect her, and you as a mother, and you will always make her strong. We stood together in the soft lamplight of the nursery, our daughter sleeping peacefully between us, and I thought about how far we'd come. From that terrified woman shaking in a convenience store to this, a wife and mother standing in her own home with the man she loved beyond reason. Life had a funny way of working out. The worst night of my life had led to the best years of my life. Being broken had led to being loved. Running from danger had led me straight into the arms of safety. And it had all started at 3:47 in the morning when Nikolai Volkov found me and decided I was worth saving. He'd been right. I was worth saving, worth loving, worth everything he'd given me, and he was worth every bit of trust I'd placed in him that first night, worth every moment of fear I'd pushed past, worth every risk I'd taken. We were worth it. This life, this love, this family, all of it. Come, Nikolai said softly, laying Elena in her crib. Let us go to bed. Tomorrow is a new day. Every day with you is a new day, I replied, taking his hand just as I had that first night, a new chance to be grateful for what we have. He pulled me close, kissing me once more before we left the nursery, the baby monitor in hand. As we walked down the hallway to our bedroom, his arm around my waist, I thought about how simple it was. Love, real love. It didn't require perfection. It didn't require being unbroken. It just required finding the right person who saw your cracks and decided they made you more beautiful, not less. Nikolai had been that person for me, and I had been that person for him. Two broken people who'd found each other at exactly the right moment and built something beautiful from the pieces. That was our story, and I wouldn't change a single moment of it, not even the scary parts, not even the painful parts, because they'd all led me here, home, where I belonged, with the man I loved, forever.